Donkey Skin, The Princess's Escape, Part 1, A Fairy Tale by Charles Perrault. Once upon a time, in a kingdom filled with grandeur and wealth, lived a king beloved by his people. His fortune seemed boundless, and life appeared perfect, especially with a beautiful queen by his side and a daughter who was the apple of his eye. But life, as always, is a mix of joy and sorrow. When the queen fell ill, despite all efforts, she passed away, leaving the king heartbroken. His grief soon turned into an obsession with finding a new bride, one even more beautiful than the late queen. The king, who had vowed never to remarry, found himself torn between his promise to his late wife and the demands of his people. It was then that he made a dangerous promise to find a princess more beautiful than his beloved queen. But the princess, virtuous and pure, could not bear the thought of marrying her own father. In her desperation, she turned to the Lilac Fairy, her godmother, for guidance. "Do not fear, dear child. There is a way to escape this fate. Ask your father for a gown the color of the weather. He will never be able to provide it." And so, with the hope of buying time, the princess requested the impossible, a gown the color of the weather. To the king's astonishment, the gown was delivered, its beauty beyond compare. Yet the princess's heart remained heavy. She returned to the Lilac Fairy for more counsel. "Now ask for a gown the color of the moon. This will buy you more time, dear child." The king sets his forces to work again, and the moonlit gown is soon created. The princess, though overwhelmed by the beauty of the moonlit gown, found herself no closer to freedom. But the Lilac Fairy, wise and patient, suggested one final request: a gown the color of the sun. In a final act of desperation, the princess asked for the most impossible gown of all, one that dazzled all who saw it. But even that wasn't enough to break the king's obsession. "Now, dear child, I ask for the skin of the donkey the king so dearly treasures. With this, your escape will be assured." Scene shows the princess receiving the donkey skin, her heart heavy but determined. And so the princess wrapped herself in the donkey skin, disguised as a humble servant. She fled the palace, leaving behind all that she had ever known. But in her darkest moment, when all seemed lost, the Lilac Fairy appeared once again, assuring her that her journey had only just begun. And so the princess, now known only as Donkey Skin, began her new life in a small town far from the palace. But what awaits her next? How will her story unfold? Stay tuned for Part 2, where Donkey Skin's destiny will unfold in a way no one could have predicted. Will love find her in her time of need?